Alright. Gonna try doing some tuning. Alright, damn it. Sorry about that. Good way to start this stream. Having my dog barking. Alright. What? I know, I wish I could start all over. Alright. Try this again. And now I'm about to try tuning Forza Motorsport 7. I'm gonna start by the car I've already tuned, hopefully making it better. Easiest way to tune to me is, well, for those that don't probably know, is on free play. First thing you want to do is find a track that you're comfortable with, and preferably doesn't have too many variables in it, because then you're just tuning for that one track. Try to find maybe a fairly small to medium sized track that has variables scenario. I like using curvy tracks with like S's in them. Do a maybe a little oh. I like Suzuka circuit. Yes, curves in I think are a good way to try to get your handling down. There's a little bit of up and down hills areas, not much, but Road Atlanta is a good handling type track. So I probably wouldn't use the long version because it's just too many straightaways. You want to focus on variables that have to do with corners and, depending on how sharp and, different things that affect me, like trying to slow down, going downhill or uphill variables. Like I said, try to find a track that doesn't have too many in one track, because then you're basically just tuning on that one track. I try to tune cars so they are fairly useful in any track. I by no means have the best tunes or the best driving skill, but I am a top 5 to 10% player on the leaderboards, and I only use my tunes. Gallow Circuit's another track I like to use. Not, of course, not the biggest track. Speaking of variables, the Mazda is kind of a decent one to tune on, but in a way it has its own variables that are unique. Therefore, when you're tuning on it, you could be making a tune that is too specific to this and end up not being very useful in other tracks. In my opinion, I should say. I'm sure there's other people out there that tune on just about any track and are able to make it work out everywhere else, but for me, I like to try finding, like I said, small to medium tracks. Lime Rock's a good one. I'm going to go back to Suzuka instead of boring you guys with too much talking. You're able to choose different sizes. Don't worry about the laps. If you want to change some of this other stuff, you can, but we're just tuning, so we're only going to be test driving, not actually racing. Just accept your settings. And go to race after you picked your track. So in tuning, you just want to ignore all this, go to setup, test drive. So like I said, I've already gotten this car tuned, but to kind of show you what I look for. I try getting set up here. Don't pay too much attention to my driving. One of the first things I look at is whether or not my alignment's where I want it. When I go around a corner, I always look at my camber. And I always look at the outside number. G-forces are going out, causing the weight to transfer to the outside. So therefore, I try to focus on what the camber looks like on that side of the vehicle. So always when you're going into a corner, look at the camber on the outside. And what I look for is how close to zero it is. preferably still in the negatives. If it goes into the positive, I don't really like that too much. And tires start trying to lose traction when the tires start going into the positive. So, as you can see, as you've seen in the first corner, I think it looked like it went in the positive a little bit, so I might want to change the camber up in the rear. The front seems like it's doing alright. Staying under -1. -1 isn't bad, in my opinion. I try to stay around -1 and under -1, close to 0. By the way, also let you know I am driving with manual with clutch, no traction or brake assist. Steering I keep normal because I don't use a steering wheel, so there's no need for me to use simulation steering. But everything else is pretty much simulated. No traction, no braking. I use a manual clutch, so I do all the gear changes myself with a controller. Like you probably heard there, don't hit the rev limiter too many times, that's a waste of time. Let me get back on the scene. That's a bad corner. Alright. So once I figure out where my alignment is, I go to tuning and mess with my alignment. If so, to increase it, I gotta work my way towards the negative side. And on the rear, it looked like I was having points of it getting having points where it was hitting positive. So go up a couple points. Don't want to make too big of adjustments, then that could affect your car negatively. And then it'd be kind of hard to figure out where that middle spot is if you do it too much at a time. Well, for me, I already kind of feel a difference when I turn. I can still hear the tires squealing, but at least it feels like it's not trying to slide as bad. Hold on a second, guys. Alright, back to this. Alright, where was I? Another thing I try to look for is how my suspension is reacting going into corners. Ooh. Apparently I didn't pay much attention to this when I was doing this before. What you don't want is what's going on here. The suspension is bottoming out. You can tell, like when I go in the corners, you can see the white bars hitting all the way at the top, and that's part of the reason why my car wants to slide under a lot of G-forces when I try to accelerate during cornering. The way I try doing things in my head, I believe to have a decent race type car, you want a stiff suspension, which I believe what most race cars are. You know, they have a stiff suspension, but you gotta be careful not to let it get too stiff. And in Forza, you also gotta be careful on how low you set your car. I might have my car set too low and my suspension not stiff enough. One or the other, or possibly both. I'll have to try figuring out as I go along. I try to do most of my tuning changes on the straightaway. While I'm tuning, I don't do my best cornering, so when I'm looking at the grass around the car, so I feel like my anti-roll bars are fairly stiff and not too stiff, so I'll leave that. I think that's alright. That might be able to do a little adjustment, but I'm going to look back to my springs here. Yeah, I probably shouldn't have went all the way down. Even though 6.7 and 7.1 inches isn't very low for for a car, apparently it doesn't like it being that low. The car doesn't. So try finding a more happy medium for this thing. And I'll go ahead and stiffen up the rebound stiffness on here. Also, a lot of times when you're going through all this stuff, you can press in your right toggle. It'll give you information on how this stuff, kind of gives you generalization of how this stuff works. And it's a good guide to help you figure out what you're trying to do. So I'm going to try doing, instead of keeping these even like I had before, I'm going to stiffen up the rear a little bit more than the front in hopes of trying to help it corner a little better. This might be one of my problems online too. I might not have enough downforce. Downforce is very important in cornering. If you don't corner right, you lose a lot of time. And there's a lot of players that online, if you don't have the right downforce or tune set up, no matter how good of a driver you think you are, if you don't go through you don't have your car tune set up right, going through the corner, you can lose a lot of time. So figure out. I think in an A-class type car, I don't feel like I need to go max, but that's my opinion. Again, I know when I get up to the S-class type stuff, going max is a fairly common tune setup. Well, another one of my personal preferences, I prefer lower braking force. I like having almost having full um, control over my trigger, being able to go almost all the way down with it before it tries to lock up the brake. A lot of other tuners I know use high, over 100 up to 200% braking pressure, and that consists of just barely touching the brake trigger to slow down. And I personally can't get used to that. Just like throttle control, I like having my brake control. Being able to use a little bit of brake or a lot of brake, and I like having that choice instead of just barely being able to touch it. And the further travel I have, the more control I feel like I have, and with higher pressures, just feel like I have less control of it. Differential is kind of hard to explain, but if you have a lot of problems with the ass end sliding out on you, well, excuse my language, if you have a lot of problems with the rear end sliding out on you, then a lot of times you could have a differential issue, not just a suspension or alignment issue. Sorry. Trying to find my words here, and it's not easy. So, did a little bit of tuning, so I'm hoping I got where I'm closer to where I want to be suspension wise. We'll find out. Don't look like it's completely maxing out, but it's still hitting the top at some points. I can keep from raising the height. I'm going to try. So I'm going to need to try to find a way to making the suspension stiffer. Try not to bore you with too much details at once, because I know not everybody that's going to see this is going to be able to understand everything I say. So, if you have any questions or comments, let me know, and I'll try my best to explain it, or in future videos, try to give more details. This is looking a lot better. Oh, I believe I can make that right now. Now the other thing I gotta look for is this. How much friction I am able to keep up with in the corners. Gives me an idea of how whether or not I have a spot that of my suspension that is too stiff or not stiff enough. Like if I have a car that's acting up pretty bad, it'll be a little bit more obvious. A lot of times with your rear wheel drive cars, you're always going to have in my cases, I've always had the front tires usually show orange and show loss of traction and cornering. You try to minimize it as much as you can. I think overall this isn't too bad. Might have my I don't know. Overall, it's bouncing in and out pretty nicely. For this car, even though it's not going to be probably the most competitive car out there, I think this car is overall doing nicely. This friction screen and the suspension screen kind of almost go hand in hand when tuning. Those are the three main screens I use. Friction, suspension, tires miscellaneous, which helps me with my alignment. Mainly camber. Don't mess with a whole lot of toe because, you know, tracks are going left and right. Usually not a whole lot of toe is needed. You can't use, but for the most part you want it. I mean, if I was to try tuning to a specific track, I might try working on toe a little bit more, but I don't believe toe is a necessary tuning. It can be in some vehicles, possibly, but tires are pretty crucial. You gotta think about them being cold to start up and warming up. You want to try finding a right pressure where after they've warmed up, they're at the peak performance for the tune I have set up. A lot of cars, when you buy them new, they are set automatically to 30. I tend to usually go down a little bit so they warm up to probably about 30 or 33. But each car is different. I probably don't even have the tire pressures completely down to necessarily help my tuning. But they're one of the crucial points is trying to figure out where tire pressures what tire pressure will help you in your car out handle the best. don't know how to get too into gearing, and in this car I don't even have it where I can change anything but the final drive. And I know if I was able to change all the gears in it, there's a certain way to change your gears that can totally change the way your car handles going in and out of corners. Caster is one of the big tuning setups I like to use. The longer the car, let me try figuring out a way how to word this. The longer nose of a car you have, to me, the more crucial the front caster is, depending on how short or long the front of your car is. As in going for turn response. Ooh. Not knowing where to go from here or what to explain, because I don't know if anybody's ever going to watch this, so I think this is going to conclude the tuning of this car. I like where it's at. Might be able to change its final gear a little bit. Top speed's at 174.7. Hopefully I'm not losing too much acceleration trying to do this. One thing you gotta think of is what is top speed if you don't have the acceleration to get you there. So be careful when you're tuning your gears. I got this where I want it. Before I end this video, I'm going to try seeing what kind of lap time I can get with this new tune setup. I can already feel a difference in the gearing change. The gear's longer, so they're not. The car's not acting the same way in the corners in certain gears like it was before. First, I wanted to try seeing if I can get a 54-second lap time. Nope, I don't think I'm going to make it this time. Oh, I'm trying too hard. Do you want to change one thing? I don't really know how to explain this no differential thing, but one of my things I lower the decel on this thing, on this car. I know it could potentially help me when I'm slowing down in corners. It could potentially help me corner better. But my problem is when I get out of the corner, the difference between the decel and the acceleration could potentially be too far apart, and when I go to accelerate out of the corner, the snapback from decel to acceleration difference could cause me to the rear end of my car to slide out on me, and I tend to a lot of my tunes now tend to be fairly close together now, so if there's some cars, if they allow it, I try to get my decel lower, but I haven't found a way. It could be just my driving habits. Maybe I'm doing something wrong while I'm driving, but as for right now, while I'm still learning myself how to drive to be more competitive, this is where I'm at in my experience in this game. And when you go into a track, it helps to know what kind of lap time you are looking to try to achieve. If you can find the leaderboards in Forza Motorsport 7 for specific tracks, I have not been able to find it because in previous ones you used to be able to go to Rivals and be able to check the leaderboards on each track and get an idea of what lap times you're looking for. In Forza Motorsport 7, the Rivals is not the same. They don't have it where you can try doing the time attack or on each track. So in Forza Motorsport 7, I don't know how to look up each track's leaderboard times to try to get an idea where I want to be. Not a good idea to try getting in top 1 or 200, or if you're real new to this, you don't even necessarily want to try to get into the top 1,000 best lap time area. So I know for this track, I can get between 53 and 56 seconds is not a bad lap time. It's not, 55.0 where I'm at right now isn't bad, but it isn't necessarily great. If I can find another car that's more competitive, I think, you know, if I could be at 53, 50, you know, or low 54, 53, it'd be a pretty good lap time. I know to be up there with the real competitive people, we'd be looking at probably leaderboards at top or within 48, 49, 50 second lap times. Could even be lower than those. But to be within the top probably 5-10%, you know, 55 seconds isn't bad. Or at least in the top 15%, I guess. So I'm going to end it with that. So one more note I could add. Tuning is very important, but also when you're upgrading your car, what you put into your car. You can't go all out on necessarily handling, you can't go all out on power. I mean, you might be able to, there might be tuners out there that go out all on power and find a way to tune it to where they can't drive in the corners, but they got enough speed to keep them competitive. Or if you go all handling, there's tuners out there who know how to where they can handle well enough to keep up with you, but they can't keep up with you on straights. I try to find a balance when I tune and when I build cars to try getting the handling up as high as I can, but not sacrifice too much power. When you get up into the A class or higher aerodynamics, where you can adjust your aerodynamics. Without going into me, I wanted to say, again, anybody that watches any questions or comments, please leave them. I'll do my best to keep up with them and try to do better in the future videos. Again, I'm sorry if I sound nervous. I'm still new to this streaming thing, so anybody that watches and subscribes, I want to thank you and appreciate it beforehand. Almost forgot to save my tune. By the way, this tune was for A class.